Welcome to Miracles Waiting to Happen. I'm Calvin, and I'm a miracle. And today I just want to share with you my story to give you some hope, or anybody some hope out there who may be struggling, who may be going through what I went through. I just want to help you make it to the other side. When I was 12, I started drinking. By the time I was 19, I was suicidal. I attempted suicide for the first time at 19. It's the first time I've ever talked about it publicly. And the scary thing about this, the sad thing about this, was I really wanted to die. It's one thing to try to commit suicide. You know, some people do it for attention, but I really wanted to die. I went to the dope man and I asked him, I said, how many hits of acid would I have to take, or would someone have to take before it would kill you? And he gave me the number, and I bought the number and I took them. And I went home and I laid down waiting to die. I don't know if anybody's ever been right there. I was in that space between life and death. I was really thinking that, any minute I'm just going to drop off into oblivion or wherever you go when you die. Well, I didn't die physically, but I died spiritually. And the very next year I tried it again. It still didn't work. And for the next 15 years, my life was a living hell. There was a few bright spots in there, very few and very brief. I went from being the most likely to succeed to sleeping on a crack house floor. I was really bad. Couldn't take care of my family. When my mother died, I wasn't able to contribute anything at all to her funeral or to give her any type of emotional support on her deathbed. I was just a shell of the man that she raised me to be. At 35, I was married. I had 3 children, and my wife was, at the time, she was pregnant with our 4th child, and she kicked me out. She was basically saying I can do bad by myself. And when she kicked me out, I had nothing. All I had was the clothes on my back. And I walked around to the local homeless shelter. And that's when the miracles started to happen. One of the first people I saw there was my brother, who had become my drinking partner after my mother died. I mean, we went from being arch enemies growing up to the best of friends because we had that common bond, drinking and drugging. And he disappeared. He went missing. He got his income tax check, and, I thought, well, he's doing what drug addicts do. But he had found that place because I had told him about it. I'd been there before. And when I saw him, I almost walked past my brother. I didn't recognize him. He was the first miracle in a series of miracles that happened to me while I was at that place. Well, they showed me what to do, what steps to take, and I followed a few suggestions, and I've never looked back. It hasn't been easy. Trying to do a 180 is hard. Trying to change your life is hard. But as I look back over the last 24 years, almost 25, it'll be May in 25 years, I see miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. What some people would call coincidences, serendipities, I call miracles. Because my wife ended up letting me back in. I stayed stopped. I stayed off drugs. And see, when I died spiritually at age 19, all my dreams, all my hopes, all my goals died with me. But when I stopped drinking and the fog was lifted from my thinking, those dreams came back. See, I grew up poor in American standards. I don't know, I can't remember how old I was when I found out we were poor, but it was one of the saddest days of my young life. I was depressed. I missed a lot of my childhood because I was worrying about things that a child shouldn't worry about. And I just always made it a goal. See, that was my motivation, was to escape poverty. And because I didn't have any patience, and because things wasn't going as fast or moving along as quickly as I thought they would, I became depressed and I turned to drugs because when I drank and got high, that burden was lifted. I didn't care what neighborhood we lived in. I didn't care that we had broken down furniture. My mother was on food stamps and all of that. Now, don't get me wrong. My mother did the very best that she could. When I look back on those times, it's unbelievable. The job that she did. Because my father left when I was 6. Now, I had a stepfather step in about 3 or 4 years later. And we never went without a meal to eat, but we had everything but money. And I always wanted to be free of that. I want, financial freedom had become a goal of mine. I wanted to live nice because I used to be ashamed to have anybody over my house. Okay? I had a great childhood, don't get me wrong, but those things were intertwined in there that made my life miserable, difficult. I know now that I was just, an accident waiting to happen. But when I stopped drinking, those dreams came back. And ever since I was little, I used to try. I wasted a lot of money on those get-rich-quick books that they used to sell in the back of the newspaper, classified. I spent a lot of $3.99 on answering those ads for stuff in envelopes. See, I'm dating myself. See, I'm 59. But those were the scams that were being run in the day. Because I was looking for a way to get out, any kind of way to escape that poverty. And those dreams never died. Well, they died, but they came back to life when I came back to life. And every day, no matter what people said, no matter how much doubt was thrown my way, I was determined to turn my life around. Well, about 2000, me and a friend of mine, we attended it was a 6-week seminar on how to write a business plan. And every week, they would bring in a successful business person from the community. They would tell their story, blah, blah, blah. Well, I just remember this young guy coming in. He was real sharp looking. And I don't remember a lot he said, but I do remember this. He said, the book Think and Grow Rich changed my life. So as soon as class was over, I ran out. Of course, I couldn't buy the book. I didn't have any money. We were living in government housing at the time. I went to check the book out at the library. It was all checked out. So I put it on reserve. About a week later, the librarian calls me back and says, hey, Mr. Roach, your book is ready. So I go there, and she hands me this book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. It has a black man on the front. I said, this isn't the book. And I was handing it back to her. She didn't grab it immediately. I started reading the back of the book. And it was interesting. So I said, I'm going to keep this book. It was by Dennis Kimbro. See, what happened was the original Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill was the author. In 1970, he was writing a special Think and Grow Rich for black people. Well, he died, and it sat on his shelf, or sat on the shelf of the Napoleon Hill Foundation for years. So they gave it to this up-and-coming writer by the name of Dennis Kimbro, who was going around the country interviewing successful black people. Well, anyway, I read the book, and it changed my life. It gave me a blueprint. It reignited something inside of me that had died when I was 19 years old. And so in 2003, I became an insurance agent. And remember, my wife had kicked me out. I was living in a crack house. My first year, from the very first year I became an insurance agent, all the way until I retired. I was about as successful as an independent agent could be. We went from living in the government projects to purchasing a 3,700 square foot home. We had a new van. I bought a new convertible. There were a couple of years, where I earned over $200,000 per year. And I'm not bragging. I just want to tell you the miracle that I am. See, I could have died back then in 1982. And I want to tell you that was the first time that I tried to commit suicide, but I didn't. The very next year I tried again. All of this wouldn't even be possible now. See, I'm living my dreamed of life, but the beautiful children and grandchildren I have, see, they don't know that they were almost never born. They would have died with me. But I want to tell my story to give somebody some hope. But of course, that particular fairy tale didn't end well. I ended up getting a divorce. We ended up losing the house. We ended up losing everything. But I didn't lose hope. See, I already knew that I was already alive again. May the 13th, 1998 was the beginning of my resurrection, is what I like to call it. And I just remember the greatest lesson that they told me. They said, hey, if you want to keep what you've got, you got to give it away. Meaning you got to help other people like you in your situation. And I just took it a little further. And I help anybody that I can, wherever I can, whenever I can. And now, in 2022, I'm living my dreamed of life. I'm over here in the Philippines. I've been here consecutively for almost 4 years. I left the rat race. I retired at 55 years old. I was a broken down crackhead. Now all of a sudden, I was able to build up an insurance agency that gave me enough renewal income that I could walk away from the rat race, jump off the hamster wheel, and come over here and live my dreamed of life. I've got a house now. We've got a house. Here's the house, the main house. This is for our subscribers that come through here to visit us. They stay here free. They eat with us. They're like family at no charge. All of this is paid for. Of course, this is the Philippines, so it doesn't cost a whole lot. But everything that I'm doing today is what I dreamed of as a child. When I was 10 years old, it used to be so cold going to school. My hands would be frozen. I didn't even know a place like the Philippines existed at that time. But I made a solemn oath that when I grow up, I was going to live somewhere where it never got cold. And the average temperature over here is 82 degrees. When I lost my house, the bank foreclosed on our house in 2011. I made a solemn oath that one day, I didn't know when, I didn't know where, I didn't know how, I was going to build a house, and it was going to be my house. Free and clear, no loans, no banks, no nothing, where no one could ever take it from me. I've done that. I've got a beautiful relationship. I'm not perfect. A lot of my relationship with my grown children are splintered, but it's getting better. The moral of my story is get out of your own way, because that's what I was. I was in my own way. Broken things can be fixed if you're willing to seek the help. A lot of us, we're just ashamed. We have a lot of foolish pride, is what my mother used to call it. And we don't want to either ask for help or receive the help that's out there. I wanted to share my story today because I know there's somebody watching is probably going through the same thing I did. I just want to tell you, I just want to give you some hope. Because I thought I had lost it all, but I didn't. I still had that hope. That was what was left. And I just want to thank y'all for listening today. That's what this channel is going to be about. It's a lifestyle channel. You're not always going to hear me talking. We're going to have, we're going to show you how to exercise. We're going to show you how to eat better. We're going to talk about meditation. We're going to talk about helping other people in order to help yourself. We'll talk about goals. Anything to inspire you. We're not going to motivate you. Listening to this channel and watching these videos will not motivate you. It will inspire you. What motivates you is your goals. Do you want to live happier? Do you want to live longer? Do you want to have more money? Do you want to have better relationships? A nice house, a nice car, whatever it is. That's what motivates you. This channel is going to inspire you to take that extra step, to go the extra mile, to do whatever it takes to get through whatever you're going through. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope I helped somebody. I hope I gave them just that little shot of hope that we need. Maybe I cracked open the door just a little bit to show you that if an old town drunk, the neighborhood crackhead, the guy who sold everything just to get another hit, if he can turn his life around, surely you can. Thank you for listening.